Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Everyone, welcome back to the Enlighten Up podcast. Today I have a very exciting show and two brand new guests to share with you today. Pamela Downs and Lisa Roche are here. They are the founders of Spirit Calling, and they are both Reiki masters, they're channelers, and Lisa is a medical intuitive. And we're gonna get into some channeling later on in the show. We're gonna talk about some very interesting galactic medical information that Lisa came across while her and I were doing some interesting work on my friend Michael. And since so many of you have been so gracious to offer him your support, we thought you might be interested in learning about this just because it's offering a brand new perspective on how to look at things that really goes way beyond what I think we've always known. But we're also going to hopefully get to channel the Great Council of Light, which is where both of you like to share a lot of your information on your YouTube channel and in your Spirit Calling group. Pamela and Lisa, welcome to the show. How are you both doing?
Hey, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. We are great.
Yeah, we're excited
and really grateful to be here.
I'm so glad you're both here. And of course, how this all kind of came to be was through a very interesting portal of meditation. Pamela, we were on that call. Lisa, were you on that call in July?
She was there that day.
No. Okay.
Wait a minute. Wait, what? I was?
Very first call. Yeah, with Eon.
Oh, okay. So that meditation, so we all did this kind of group meditation. It was kind of like an off the cuff, like, let's just kind of get together. It was a Saturday afternoon, and you, Pamela, channeled for the first time in front of people.
That was a big deal.
Not only was it a big deal for you, that was so powerful. Your channeling was like making me vibrate at levels. I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? So I'm excited for the audience to finally get to experience what I got to experience in that moment and kind of learn more about what you two are doing. So Spirit Calling.
Yes.
Well, what exactly is Spirit Calling? Let the audience know first.
Okay. Well, Spirit Calling is a premier online resource that Lisa and I created. We were both called independently in 2020 to create a portal for humankind, not just a website, a portal for humankind and a place for us to help support them as they're going through their awakening process. And so in our community, we have resources for people. We have education, we have guidance from a curated collection of practitioners and partnerships that we've, vetted, and we have relationships with, and we can really, speak honestly to who they are to maintain the vibration of our platform. Lisa, do you want to add anything to that?
You are perfect. That was perfect. I want to add that Pamela is awesome. There.
Thank you.
Love the love. Love the love. Yeah. Okay. So this is amazing because it's absolutely needed. People need places to go to be able to talk about these things and understand what the heck's going on. There's so much information out there that you can get through social media, YouTube, all these different kinds of videos, TikToks, Instagrams, but to actually be able to get to meet people, interact with them is a very important part of community building, and also being able to share. I think it's an important process that we get to actually express what we're feeling and what we're thinking, and like, what does this all mean? What am I going through in real time with real people? Even if it's in a virtual setting, most of the time, it's still very helpful.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, that's why Spirit led us to create this platform, because Lisa and I both, I know personally,
Yeah.
in my awakening process, we talk about this all the time. And so many people talk about this all the time. In 2008, 2012, when we were going through our shifts, we didn't have a community. We didn't have someone that could understand what we were going through. We didn't know what resources were there. Of course, divinely, we were guided and the right people would come into our life. And it was this long, expansive spiritual awakening where now, the planet's changing, shifting before our very eyes. Time and space is different. And so now we've got a place, where people are, what are they, we feel so blessed. People are supporting each other on the community. People are posting, I need this
The
today.
most wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Questions and comments, and just to clarify, I'm assuming I can curse. Can I curse? Or
Oh,
should
yes.
I keep it? Okay, good. Because that takes some practice. Could you tell I was holding my breath? Am I allowed to say what I'm about to say? But there's there's a whole lot of what the fuck going on right now. And to have a place where you can sit down and say, what the fuck? I don't understand what's going on. I'm getting like weird voices in my head and I'm not sure what that's about.
Yeah.
To be able to have someone say, guess what? Not only are you totally normal for hearing those things, I hear them too. I think that's a game changer in making people embrace their growth, embrace their evolution. And then that's why the awakening process is moving much faster, right? You're not splitting yourself into 2, 3, 4 versions of yourself, right?
Well
and
said.
showing up and feeling like a fraud in all of this. You don't have to do that. You can show up someplace, you can be honest with who you are, where you're at, what you're experiencing, and then somebody gets to validate that real time. It's just amazing.
I agree. And, it's interesting because that's one of the reasons why I formed my alchemy program, which is somewhat similar to what you guys are doing, in a sense that I added a community in there through our Discord so that they could, and our Telegram chat, but the Discord is where we have a lot of different channels and topics that people can jump into and start conversations in. And I've also created like video chat rooms in there. So some of them will get in there and they'll start video chatting with one another and sharing what's going on. And that to me is so important. And I think that's probably the best part of the whole alchemy program, is that there is like a community where you actually get to see people form relationships and know that you're not alone. And you get to, it gets, like you said, you don't have to split yourself in two. You just get to be you.
Yeah. And it's also wonderful for our practitioners. We have a whole group of healers and practitioners. They can support each other. They can trade services. They can be there for the questions, for the needs, and also to see what the community is posting, to be a sounding board and to offer their guidance. I mean, it's really full circle, and it's a beautiful experience for us to witness.
Well, I think it's so nice. A few years ago, I don't know, I was really heavy into the being a gyrotonic trainer, and then my back went out. And I was like, here I am working in the physical realm, helping human bodies, and I'm injured, right? And I went, who in the hell is going to come to me for physical healing when their trainer is damaged, and they're right? That's what I thought. I was damaged. Damaged goods. And then I had a friend of mine say, you're just the healing healer. That's it. You're not damaged goods. You're a healing healer. Just because you're a healer doesn't mean that you don't have that you don't express pain, that you don't experience pain and some downtime. It helps you in who you are. So it was really important to us to take the stigma off of being a healer, as in you have to be perfect in order to be a healer, right? And then so many healers, you find that they run into this habit, this habitual pattern of giving and caring for others and not for themselves.
No.
Right? And when you
Last
don't
person.
take care of yourself, you're shit to anybody else. Right? You have to dig so deep, and like that. it to
Well,
me is
you know what's
bullshit.
even to
Yeah.
take that a little bit further is, and I talked about this recently on a podcast I was on, where I don't think that we're here to show the perfection of health or to show the healing, the internal healing journey as in its masterpiece at the end, because the truth is that masterpiece is going to constantly evolve as you evolve in your own healing journey. So whatever you think your healing masterpiece is today, I promise you 6 months down the road, it's going to be even more evolved than that. And so it's not our job to just show the masterpiece, because the masterpiece is not really in essence what the whole journey is about anyway. And so I think it's important that we're honest and we're vulnerable, and that we show that we're not perfect, and we show that we go through the same issues as anyone else. You know, even though we may be a little bit more of an authority on something than someone else might be, you know, it doesn't mean that we've got it all figured out or that we're imperfect or we're not going, you know. Here's the thing too. The best healers are the ones who go through their own healing, right? Like it's not something you read in a book.
Oh yeah. And you
Right.
know, talking about shifting and changing and going to different dimensions, and Lisa and I have been shifting so rapidly over the last couple months, up leveling. We've been sharing it on a portal. Like she's been saying, I had a shit day. I've been this, I've been that. I'm in pain. She's pouring out her heart and sharing it to be a witness to everyone else, so that they can understand, you know, what they're going through, and all be supporting and communicating together.
Oh, that's so good. I think it's so good. And it's so important that people know they can relate to you, you know, and that there's a sense of relatability, and that, okay, I'm not the only one going through this. Oh, like, wow. But also to know that, okay, she's doing this and she also is going through that. Oh, wow. Like that means I can do that too. So I think it's important to be very honest and very vulnerable about the journey. While it's important to also share the highlights, because the highlights are important.
Absolutely.
But you can't misstep the valleys.
I mean, I wish it would be a lot easier.
Well, and we wouldn't be on Earth if that were the case.
And that is exactly what I tell people. I say, listen, if everything is perfect, you're a soul.
Yeah.
But you're no longer in your human body. The human experience is a painful experience.
Yeah.
So if you think you're not experiencing pain, oh, you just haven't woken up yet. You're just not actually in your body yet. Yes. At some point this lifetime or many others from now, you will be there, you will experience it, and you need to come out the other side. You just have to. It's the healing journey. You have to get through it.
Speaking of, like, I'd love for each of you just to briefly share your awakening, because I think both of you had a pretty jarring awakening in 2020, which I want to say is amazing, because I think everyone forgets, like they see the world right now and they see all the shit and they're like, there's just more division than ever. And it's like, but so many people are waking up, you know, like it's a catalyst whenever there's such hardship and challenges and obstacles, and we're all being pushed against the wall in ways that we don't want to be up against those walls. That's when the awakening really kind of grows through.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Through compression, you get the diamond. Right. And that's, you know, a tree literally can't grow without wind. It needs, did you know that? A tree cannot grow without wind.
Yeah.
It has to have the juxtaposition, the contrast, something to work against, to stretch against, to stretch from. It absolutely needs the contrast in order to grow. And that's how, you know, all of that I learned through gyrotonic, really how that plays through the human body. But understand, there's two sides to what's happening right now. One, it's a catalyst, absolutely. But also the flip side to that is we created it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, all of the angst and all of that pressing against the norms, that creates friction. Of course, you're going to raise your body temperature. Raising your body temperature raises the temperature of your surroundings. Your surroundings then heat up your environment. The environment heats up the planet, right? It's all a cycle. The planet is heating up, so we heat up. We heat up, so we heat the planet, right? It's all the same. And then tempers rise because you can't take it anymore. You're trying to keep up with the resonance of this planet, which makes your entire nervous system on edge. That phrase that, it phrased your entire nervous system. Your brain is no longer functioning the way that it used to function because it's growing. It's pressing up against your skull. So it creates that contrast, right?
Yeah.
And you have to then do the things. Go to a craniosacral therapist, go to a chiropractor, do whatever you need to do. Open up your skull. Give your brain some more space. Get some more cerebral spinal fluid up there.
And the truth of the matter is, unfortunately, and I think this goes for pretty much almost virtually every human on the planet, if we don't feel the pressure, we're not going to do it.
True statement, right? Who wants to leave comfort?
No, we're not. I mean, boredom might do it, but boredom takes a really long time to set in, so.
Yeah, thousands of years.
Yeah. So, okay. Pamela, why don't you share kind of what happened with you in 2020?
Yeah, so in 2020, I have been on the awakening journey since 2008, 2012. When I say I had my knockdown, which is when my whole life got taken away from me and everything I knew just became something different, and I had to change everything that I knew. It led me up to 2020, where I did ayahuasca with a beautiful group of very conscious people down at Rhythmia Life Advancement Center in Costa Rica. It was a wonderful, profound experience. Coming on the other side of that, I had no idea what was to come. It was November of 2019. I had no idea what was to come. I did so much shadow work during that week-long plant medicine journey. At the end of that week, we did a breath exercise, and I had a white light come through my third eye, fill my whole entire body up, which, very interestingly enough, when I first started waking up, I had that experience happen, which was like in 2008, and my body went zzz, and I was always like on the pursuit of trying to have that experience again. So after that week-long plant medicine journey, the light came through and my third eye crackled, and I felt all this pressure and crackling in my forehead. And then I heard, everything will change from now on. Your psychic abilities have been enhanced. Nothing will be the same from this point on in your life. And I lost my breath and I was crying, and it was a remarkable. Fast forward to, COVID came, and I decided I'm not going to go and get stuck in front of the television and in front of fear and in these conversations with everyone. I'm going to just turn inside. This is my time. This is our time to turn inside. And I started working with galactic beings. I started working with my guides, releasing more of the shadow work that I had done with plant medicine, which was amazing. They say Aya stays with you. She definitely was still with me. And I had started visions, and I started experiencing beings, and I started speaking light language, and I started having all of my clairs woke up. So one night I was in bed and I heard spirit calling. And I went, I got up. By that point, I knew I needed to get up and write it down, because you're never going to remember this in the morning. And I did. And I woke up that morning and I went and I bought the URL. I was like, I'm going to buy this domain. There's a reason for it. And I did. Fast forward, I was having more and more visions. I was, doing drawings of them, recording my channeling work. And I was getting higher and higher vibration and more in touch with able to channel these beings. And I heard, you are to build a portal for mankind. There's a glass ceiling that's going to burst, and people will need a safe place to land. You need to create a portal for mankind to navigate through their spiritual awakening. And then a year later, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had a vision. I was holding an iPhone, and this little tiny icon came flying down and landed on my screen. And I remember looking at it and thinking, oh my God, I got to get up. I got up, I got my color pencils, I sketched it, and I went to bed. In the morning, I forgot all about it. In the morning, I had to go log on to my domain. Something was wrong with an email or something, my server. And I logged on and I saw spirit calling. And then I remembered the icon and I went, oh my God, it's all the same. They're one and the same. And I kept getting this pull. It's time to build the portal. It's time to build the portal. Well, I was redoing and changing a business, emerging an old business and creating a new business. I didn't have a lot of time. And I kept saying, I'm going to get to it. I'll get to it. And then one day it was like, smack, you've got to build this portal. And I said, okay, you send me the people, send me the money, send me the talent, I'll do anything. I'm your humble servant. And right after that, I got a call from Lisa, who I had met. How many years prior to that did we meet, Lisa? Like 5 years prior to that? We had met maybe once or twice.
Maybe 6 years. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
6
we had
years.
met once or twice. The first time I met her was on the banks of a river near our house. Both of our daughters were on the crew team. And I saw her, and I had heard about her, but I didn't really know her. And I walked up to her and I introduced myself. And then when we were standing there amongst all these people that, you know, we're not into spirituality at all in our little town that we live in, I walked up to her and I leaned over, as she says, and I said, I know what you do. And she laughs at that, because I was just starting at the point when I had first met her. I was not ready. And
It's almost like,
said,
yeah, people too.
Swear to God, that's
Yes.
exactly what it felt like.
Yeah. And Lisa tells the story that when I saw her that day, she knew that we were going to do something profound together, but that I wasn't ready. And she was right. I wasn't ready. And that was like in 2008, I think. So then fast forward, Lisa calls me or emails me or something and said, Pamela, it's time to work together on my business. I need to reposition my brand, my messaging, my website. And I said, okay, if we're meant to work together, you know, we're going to work in a new way, because I knew that we were both in this place that was different than when we first met. And when we worked together, I always tap in. I'm a creative intuitive, a psychic creative intuitive, and I always tap into my clients in a really unique way. But with Lisa, it was drawing on something that was really even more powerful. And one day, after one of our group calls, she said, Pamela, can you hang on the Zoom for a moment? And I said, sure. You know, we say goodbye to everyone else. And I said, what's up, Lisa? And she said, I was told that we were supposed to work on another project together. I was told that we were supposed to build a portal to help humankind through their awakening process. And I was like, my body lit up, and I think I started crying.
We both did.
Yeah, we started crying, and I said, I know what it's called. It's called spirit calling. And I mean, just to tell this story, I still get chills. It was so profound. It was so amazing. And, you know, we were trying to find this balance of working our primary jobs and funneling the energy and the balance into spirit calling to build this. And Lisa did a Sage to App presentation on Reiki. And prior to that, we had worked with someone in the conscious group that I'm with one of the people that you know. And I met this guy, Tim, and we met with Tim. I knew I was supposed to work with him. We met with Tim, and he helped us outline the whole user experience for this thing. He helped us. He pulled it out of us, and we got it all. As soon as we had that clarity, Lisa did a Sage that presentation on Reiki. All 50 people came to her and said, I'm having an awakening. I don't have a community. We had to like pivot and create spirit calling like that.
I mean, it was on the fly.
On the fly. And
Yeah.
in 5 months, we had 200 people that had signed up to be a part of something that they were guided to connect with. And, you know, that's in a nutshell, my awakening story and my part of spirit calling. And I get to work with this beautiful person every day of my life.
It's incredible. And I know like it's so hard sometimes because I feel like the best stuff comes in when you're sleeping, you know, like in the middle of the night.
Right?
And it's the best stuff. And sometimes I'm like, no, because I know if I write this down, I'm not going to get back to sleep. I'm going to lose like so many hours of sleep. But sometimes I've done it and I'm so glad I did it because I'm like, oh, this was so good. Like literally one of my downloads recently that I got, I was like, okay, like it was like, this is your next TikTok video. And I was like, okay. And I just wrote it. I just kind of wrote a whole bunch of stuff down into my phone. And then I like went back to sleep. And then I did it. And it's now my most popular video. Like it's got like 40,000 views on it. And I mean, I'm still small on TikTok, but it's just, it's that kind of stuff, you know, you're like, oh, I can't let it pass because it's coming through for a reason.
Divine.
Yes,
Yeah.
divine. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, okay. And
by the way, when you get those little nuggets in the middle of the night,
yeah,
you can say, okay, I'm going to put those in a little box and put that off to the side and I'll open it in the morning. That's it.
oh,
Go back to sleep, wake up and say, oh, I had a box that I needed to open. Open it up and go, that's what that was.
Okay. So Lisa, you've had a few near-death experiences. Was that part of your 2020 awakening or was that like throughout your?
That's throughout my life. So my first near-death experience was, I was 21, 22, something like that. I was in the shower, and there's, what's interesting is there are two different perspectives, right? So one, my human perspective was, I was in the shower when all of a sudden I felt a pressure in my chest and in my head, and then the breath left. I remember that. I remember the feeling of the breath leaving me. And then I was in a tunnel of light. And I chose in that moment to peer into the light to see what this was. I'm like, oh, this is neat. I've heard about this. I've heard about the tunnel of light. What is it? And what I actually saw were individual lights. If you focused and really honed in, you saw all these souls. These are the souls all lining up. Their light comes together to create the tunnel.
Oh,
This is who
really?
welcomes you. And it's their vibration that sounds like music, and their frequency that smells sweet. Right? So then I go through and I get to the end of it. And it still makes me cry. It's still very overwhelming, because the life force, God, Jesus, whatever you want to call the universal being, stopped me. There was no messenger. There was no like Peter or Paul or Mary.
Yeah.
That it was just life force saying, it's not your time. And I remember saying, but this is nice. This is really nice. There's peace here. It's really nice. And they said, yes, but you have a job to do. Go back. You have a job to do. And that the next thing I remember was gasping for air, and my husband had like cold compresses around my head, and giving me CPR and checking my pulse, and we never found any kind of medical reason for it. But after that point, that's when spirits could then cross over and start talking to me.
Okay.
That was like, that opened up that
It was like an
door.
initiation.
It was an initiation. Yeah. And then fast forward, life gets very busy. And I get married and I have to become a mom and all of the things. I had my second near-death experience. I was post-surgery, had a raging infection, and I was in the hospital. And that night, I was up above my body watching as the night nurse came in, took my vitals, and checked the charts and all of the computers and all of that. And then I saw her remove the infection from me. She laid her hands over me, watched her remove what was like this weird green, black, light, glop, goo, watched all of that get removed, and then disappear off into light. And then I watched light come out of her hands and into me. And I felt my whole being fill up. I felt the warmth. I felt the energy. And then I was back. I was waking up in the morning. She was checking in on me again. And I looked at her and I said, similar, Pamela.
Yeah,
I looked at her. I know, right? And I said, I saw what you did. And she said, wait, what? Where, how? You were asleep. And I said, no, I was up there. I was up in the corner and I was watching. And she said, oh, okay.
She was a Reiki energy worker.
She was an energy worker. And she said, that she was a healer, and that this is what my people do. Those were her words. This is what my people do. Please don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone what you saw. Don't tell anyone what I did. Like, she would lose her job. So I kept it quiet. I learned afterwards that my doctor had told my husband to prepare, that I had a 50-50 chance. If I made it through the night, then we were in good shape. But if I continued to decline, I wasn't going to make it.
What does your husband say about your NDEs? Like,
He's amazing.
He just kind of goes along with it. Like, he's just like, oh, this is life with Lisa.
I mean, like, it's been a ride.
Like, we giggle about it now, but
Yeah.
he's a really very steady, sturdy individual. He's also extremely intuitive, extremely empathic, very, very knowledgeable, and an absolute believer. Like lives in that space of assured knowing. That's just who he is. It's his energy, it's everything. Then fast forward, so I get through that, and you would think like all of this would be like the big wake up call, but it's not. Fast forward it to 2014, right? 2014, I was 2015, something like that. I was at breakfast with friends, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking back and forth, no big deal, when I felt a squeeze at the back of my head and blacked out, face down on the table. And I was like, oh, and when I came to, I couldn't hear, I couldn't see, I couldn't find my center point, so I couldn't balance, everything was an echo in my head. And so then it comes in spurts. I remember trying to get out of the restaurant with my friends supporting me. And I remember the feeling of the wallpaper. And I remember programming that feeling, this is bumpy, this is bumpy. And I was walking and feeling, this is bumpy. So looking back on it, all my clairs opened up at once. I mean, massive, explosive, opened up all at once. And I was trying to redefine, okay, this is the feel of bumpy, this, right? This is the feel of texture. This is my left, this is my right. I was really trying to relearn and redefine in the moment. And I spent 9 months of my life declining, on an absolute decline of health. I wound up with palsy and paralysis on the right side of my body. Doctors couldn't find anything. I mean, I went in for stroke. Surely I had a stroke, right? Not a brain stroke. And it took many years later to find out there was an actual name called a cervical stroke. It happens within your vertebrae. Isn't that interesting? It happens within your vertebrae.
I've heard of
Same
that before.
symptoms. A vertebral stroke, yes. But nobody knows what it is, right? Absolutely no clue what it is. The stroke happened in my atlas. Within the, right? I love it.
The atlas.
Anybody who's ever heard of the atlas, the whole face goes,
right?
Oh
yeah, well, I mean, as a massage therapist, oh yeah, I know the atlas.
Kind of a big deal, the atlas. First vertebrae under your skull. It's also really very hidden, right? So medicinally, it's the first vertebrae under your skull, very hidden, doesn't show up on MRIs, doesn't show up on x-rays. Not typical x-rays. It's also energetically the mouth of God.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why they say the 9th chakra is the chalice of God. The mouth of God is back here. Yeah, that's your
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ignore it, which what had I gone through? Near-death experience. I chose to ignore God. Second near-death experience. Hey, look, there's an actual freaking skill that'll help you heal people. I chose to ignore it, right? Kind of a big deal. So this was not going to ignore it anymore, right? Get your shit together. So I spent 9 months declining, and one day I begged to die. I begged. I was on my hands and knees, sobbing on my floor, begging, just take me. I am a burden to my family. Remove the burden from my family. I am in pain. Remove my pain. I'm nothing but a drain. Remove this drain. Those were the things that I was asking for, right? So, which I assumed all equaled dead, Lisa dead, right? But what did I actually ask for? I asked for a removal of the burden, removal of pain, removal of the drain of me. So while I was lying on the floor, I actually slipped into meditation. And I had already been like a huge meditator for years, but not like this. This was a channeled state where my body spoke to me. I heard a voice that said, you can heal yourself. You know exactly what's wrong with you. You just need to put your hands there. So I did instinctually. I had been telling every, surgeon, blah, 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 there's a gray mass at the base of my skull. I am telling you right now, Blood is not flowing, energy is not flowing. There's some sort of a cork. Like, you got to get rid of the cork. Turns out that's an energetic tumor,
Or
right?
more.
You have to do the auric surgery in order to get that out. I was seeing it. I was experiencing it. So I begged and begged and begged, and that voice came to me and said, I will bring you. I will bring you the people who are meant to help you through this. I will give you the knowledge to heal yourself. Say yes. Just say yes. And I surrendered. Like, in that moment on the floor, I said, okay, yes, yes, I accept. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And I climbed up off the floor, and for no reason, the voice said, open your iPad. I opened my iPad. The voice said, go to Facebook. I go to Facebook. The voice said, go to this group. I go to the group. The first post in that group: we're coming on the Easter season, and I'm looking for someone to help. Do you need help? Message me. And I'm looking at that, and the voice says, ask for help. And I started shaking and crying, and I said, I ask for help? No, you've never asked for help until your soul says ask for help, right? Saying, can you pick my kid up from school? That's not asking for help. This is, I am broken, I am vulnerable, I need help. My soul needs help. So I messaged that woman, and she showed up here at my house, and she helped me walk. It took, like, I don't know, close to a half an hour to walk, 50 feet? But she helped me. I was trying to make those neural connections to the right side of my body. So I was forcing myself through, my knowledge as a gyrotonic instructor. I was like, this is what I need to do. So she took me for this walk, and she said, I don't want to pry into your business, but may I ask what's happened to you? And I said, yeah, it's the Atlas. Nobody's ever heard of it, and blah, 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 blah. And she stopped and she said, Atlas? I know exactly what you're going through. I had this exact same injury. I didn't have it to this extent, but I know there's a specialist, and you should see this specialist. And he's only a town away. Right?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
You can't make it up.
You can't make shit up. You really can't. So, and furthermore, she says, and I also know that you're not going to remember a whole lot of this conversation because your memory is shit right now. And I get it. I understand. So I'm going to come into your home, and I'm going to write it all down for you. So she does. And I sat there with this piece of paper with this doctor's name and phone number on it. And my brother-in-law was here helping us. And I said to him, I don't know. I've seen every doctor under the sun. What do you think? Chiropractor is like really helping me. I'm at like 75%. That's better than they thought I was going to be. And he stopped everything and he said, Lisa, when an angel shows up and gives you the solution, who are you to say no? And I went, oh my God. I said yes. And asked for this. So I called, right? I called at 7:00 on a Monday night. I called. And the office manager answers. And she says, usually we have a 2-month wait list. But I just hung up with someone canceling for Wednesday at 2:00. Can you make it?
That's so good.
Right? You're damn right I can. And so that was, from that point on, I was like, okay. I don't know what this voice is, and people may think that I am batshit crazy, but I don't care because it's leading me in the right direction, and I'm doing what I need to do. And I'm telling you, it would say, don't take that supplement, go eat a cucumber. And I would, and all of a sudden I would be like, wow, I feel so much better.
Oh, wow.
Dog, Lisa, and go. Like, it was just amazing. I would walk outside, and the voice would say, today you're only going to take 10 steps instead of the 20 that you did yesterday, and that's going to be good enough. Turn around, go back inside. Okay. I do as I'm told. So when I woke up and was told it was time to work with Pamela, I reached out and I called Pamela. And when I woke up and was told create a portal, I said, Pamela, I have no idea what this even means. Not a website, it's a portal, and I'm not sure what that means, but we're creating a portal. And now, Nicole, you start our conversation, I think before we ever went on camera, saying, oh, I'd like to be able to discuss portals. Yeah, it's like our freaking existence. It's like what we're doing.
And
It's
not a word that we
crazy.
both neither,
Oh,
neither of us
I'd
use.
never used it before.
I kept
in my
saying,
life.
why am I saying portal, portal, portal? I don't use that. Well, what is a
I don't
portal?
know.
She was
I
saying
don't even
this
know
thing.
what it is. Isn't that like
But
a
it,
window in a ship? I don't know.
right. But exactly. It's not just, it's not a word that it's describing something that's higher level. It's describing something that's not of this dimension. It's describing, it's such a unique word. And it's exactly what we have.
You know what's so similar between both of your journeys, and I think so many, I've been there as well, and I know so many people in my audience have been there, is that oftentimes before a massive breakthrough such as this, you know, where like everything comes online and like the mission is so clear and the activation is so strong, you go through an absolute utter breakdown.
Yes.
I mean, breakdown to the point where you feel like there is nothing left to build with.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I mean, Pamela, you didn't mention it, but your whole life was in upheaval in 2020.
I lost everything, including my marriage, my retirement, my home, my friends, everything I knew I lost. And, you know, that surrender moment, it's what it is. I also had to choose to leave my marriage, which was love for myself and love for the opportunity that I could have for my future. There were all of these choices I had to make to get to this point that I could work with Lisa to do this for humankind. You know, it doesn't come easy. It comes with these convictions. Like, you know, we are a partnership. We are human beings. We are living this experience, trying to create this for others, giving of ourselves. The channel message today was just the most beautiful. The most beautiful message that I can receive. It was almost like this loving, nurturing parents, this counsel telling me, you know, that this is a beautiful, beautiful work that we're doing and everything that we're doing. Because it's hard, you know, we're trying to find our impact investor and we're trying to create these efficient processes and we want to support everyone. We're giving of ourselves so completely. And we want to, you know, there's no choice with this. There really is no choice with this.
I mean, there's choice, right?
No, I could never.
But if we chose not to, our life would be a shit show.
It's like, well, yeah, it's like there's a choice, but the other choice is just not even acceptable.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's important for everyone to understand, because I mean, we're obviously going through very challenging times and things are probably going to start to get a little shakier as well. Like everything's very unstable, very on shaky ground, which is very Uranus and Taurus energy. But it's important to remember that while this is all going to happen, and it's going to totally suck when it does, because it does. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It just absolutely sucks when it happens. Yeah. But it's going to bring you, other people, possibly humanity, through like an incredible breakthrough moment where, like, again, you just can't look back to the old ways anymore. Like it's just not possible. And I feel like, you know, we're in that time frame right now. It's already initiated. Like I'm pretty sure 2020 was the big catalyst for it. We're still nowhere near. I think everyone wants to kind of just be on the other side. And it's like, I don't feel like there's another side. It's like, we're just going to keep going through this high pressure, like system that is just activating us all. And we're all like, can it just feel a little bit nicer? Can it just happen like a sweeter way? And I just don't think it can, simply because, like I said, we don't do what we're supposed to do until there's pressure to do it.
Right. Yes.
Exactly.
Council of Light has been giving us messages to share with the community, to share with the world. They're on YouTube. We decided to put these channeled messages. The first one was a future global event, a message of hope for humankind. If people go to our YouTube channel, they can check it out. And then most recently, it's been this like flurry of messages of preparedness. And we do our best. I've had visions of what's to come, many visions. We don't want to scare anyone, but the Great Council wants us to prepare, wants us
Yes.
to give the world, humankind, the tools to move through love and
Yes.
grace with ease, to let things move through you, to not hold them in your spirit, in your energy. And they're beautiful.
They're giving us the roadmap. They really are giving us the roadmap of how to shed your humanness. They really are. So one on YouTube, and this is for anybody who listens to your podcast, watches this, go to our YouTube channel. There is a healing ceremony to participate in. That was channeled specifically to help ease this transition. So the human form, the cellular structure, was never meant to house this high a vibration. It really wasn't. It can, as long as you clear out the negative energy. So that's been made abundantly clear. Trauma creates negative energy. This is generally speaking. Given our last work together, Nicole, I'm saying
we do have to share.
We have to touch on that.
Right. The general human experience is that you suffer some trauma, and that could be through any lifetime. You suffer trauma, it gets stored in your cellular tissue. And every 7 years, you are reconstructing, your cells die off and you replenish your entire body. It's a 7-year process. Okay. If you don't clear the negative energy within that 7-year period, it replicates rapidly and spreads. So now you have negative energy filling more expansive areas within your body. And that's when you start to get out of balance, where your negative energy is at a greater percentage than your positive energy. And that's why right around that age of 30, you're like, why do my knees start hurting? The age of 40, now all of a sudden I have back pain, right? So the normal human experience is bodies start to deteriorate starting around the age of 30. It doesn't need to be that way. You can turn it around. I was in a wheelchair. I had very limited sight, very limited hearing, and complete palsy, right? Palsy and paralysis on my right-hand side. I am now thriving, the best that I ever could be. Why? Because I spent the last, 6 years, 7 years, processing all of that negative energy. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Find peace. So the soul wants to be at peace. The human body was meant to house peace. It was never meant to house all of this negativity.
No.
All of this trauma.
Not for long periods of time.
Not for long periods of time. You can take it and then you can clear it. So the only way to make this ascension, this rapid ascension that's happening, like we say, oh, it took like 20 years. We are lucky it took us 20 years because this is happening for people.
I know.
It's so fast. But the only way to make it as easy as possible, you can't not go through it. You have to go through your shit. But in order to get through it quickly and to be able to get through it with ease, is to just start processing.
It's
acknowledge
totally true,
that you have it.
Because I think about it, like one of the most traumatic things for me in this lifetime was when my one of my boyfriends cheated on me, and it just sent me into like the darkest dark night of the soul I've ever had in this lifetime. And I just became I want to say the ugliest version of myself in 7 years following. And I say 7 years because it took me 7 years to find forgiveness and let it go and start to see it from a very healed perspective. So that's really interesting. And then I think about it too, I'm 45, and in my around 39, 40s, when I started to feel like my knees, I was like, oh, what's this knee pain? What's this low back pain? But there's been a lot of deep healing that a lot of my audience is aware of. So I won't go into it. But a lot of deep healing that's happened over the last 5 years that I'm now at a place where I don't really feel much pain at all anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. People are searching for that fountain of youth, like for very vain reasons. But in reality, get rid of your shit. Like just start processing it.
And plus, there's so many things that have been implemented on the planet. To keep our species in fear. I mean, there's so many things. The music is vibrating at a certain hertz, and the news just continually, now it's not the news, it's social media, just continually instilling fear, fear. So you know, just the natural existence of humankind right now, it's really hard. You know, people their diet is terrible. They are vibrating low. I was told, there's going to be a huge, impactful event, the glass ceiling, and it's going to happen in an instant. It's going to be global. It's not going to be, there's going to be a bunch of different events that are going to planet, but there's going to be something that really, and they say that in our channel message, if you want to check it out, it's going to shake the earth. So everyone will feel it. Like COVID was just kind of a scratch, you know.
That was our warm up.
That was our
Oh God, you
And
know,
they
it's
really
like
are.
now,
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. So the more you can do now to elevate your vibration, to free your trauma, to have better ways of being, to eat cleaner, to meditate, to choose better choices, friends, family, experiences, you're benefiting, you know, in a tremendous way. You don't even, maybe you won't even know.
Okay, well, I'm so glad that you just said that, because that's exactly what I've been feeling, is that, you know, everything is based off, whatever you choose to experience is based off a lot of your beliefs and your own internal held programming. And so if you're doing the dark work now and you're going deep and you're not putting it off, you're starting to, you're whatever is coming down the pipeline, whatever these events are, you're going to experience it very differently than other people who aren't. And so I think there's this thing where we think like, oh, if there's, I don't know, a massive event, let's just say that there might be, and it's going to be kind of catastrophic, and everyone's going to like go into this deep awakening, which we've just shown examples of how the awakening is not pretty at all before like you actually realize what's going on, that your experience of this world will be completely different. And it could be the person standing right beside you.
Yes.
Yeah.
The exact same place, and how you experience it can be very different, but it all depends on your beliefs, how much you've deprogrammed yourself, how much you've been willing to go into your own healing, be a willing participant in your own journey and your destiny. I think all of those things are super important for people to understand. This is a free will universe. You're not at the whims of like feeling some dark, deep thing just because it is dark and deep. You can experience anything the way you want to, but of course, that really depends on a lot of the internal work that's happened.
Yeah,
exactly.
The people that are listening to your podcast, the people that are coming to Spirit Calling and other places, we call them the seekers. You know, we were once the seekers. There are places for them to just, you know, be ignited, to start this journey. You're going to be able to, like Lisa and I have seen, like, I laugh all the time, you know, there's not in a slapstick sort of way. Like there could be, you know, this invasion of alien ships that come, which I've seen, by the way. And I'm going to be standing there, they're here. Yeah, they're finally here. And other people are going to be, you know, like losing their,
but they're already here.
I know, but it's just that's just kind of like an illustration of you have tools. You're going to be able to be, it's preparedness, like the Great Council of Light says, in all ways of being.
Freak out. Pamela's going to be rejoicing, and I'm going to be like, "Hey, Mom."
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's just briefly chat about what happened with you and I the other day. And then Pamela, we're going to go into the channeling. For everyone who's listening, we're going to go into the channeling after, and Pamela, we'll start with you. Okay. So I'll just let you kind of, whatever you need to do to get prepared for that. But
you're in the hot seat.
Lisa is a medical intuitive. And I'm just going to tell you all, I mean, I've met a lot of fabulous people across the time. I've worked with a lot of different people. I've had them on the show. Some I haven't, but I've really been fortunate enough to come across incredible people who do incredible healing. Lisa is definitely at the top of that list right now. For all of you who know, when we were setting up this podcast call, this was just around the time where I found out about Michael and his neck and throat cancer. And I just wanted to talk to you just about, like, is there any kind of guidance I could get? Because at the same time, I had another friend who just got admitted to the hospital for an emergency thing. And then my father too. And it's just, there was so much going on. And so I was like, I need help. And so you kind of came in and we kind of like, we'll just talk about Michael, and Michael's given us full permission to share because it went galactic.
It really did.
It's galactic.
And I mean, it really did. So the way that I work I can sense what's going on within your physical body. I can feel I can feel current infection or cancer or any kind of disease. And then I can also feel in what you would assume was a totally healthy human. I can feel the energy of something that could grow into maybe in 20 years. Oh, that's probably going to be a polyp that you're going to want to have removed. So how about we deal with it now? Like, how about we deal with the energy of it when it's so much easier than when it's metastasized into something physical. So that's how I work. And then, you know, as I work with my skills, you know, I am gifted with an entire team of spirit guides, healers, ancient healers that
your team's
get to work
pretty
through me.
amazing.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. They're awesome. They're too numerous to count. But the second I was opened by my healer, was the second she opened my channel, because I had cleared so much, right? That I was ready to be able to handle these much higher frequencies. The second that happened, everything started to change. And so now, so I can do work on my own, which is what I was doing for your friend. I can do work on my own and say, okay, I can go in, I can take care of that. Or I need a heavy hitter. It's like I'm a general surgeon, or I need a neurosurgeon, right? So yeah, let's get somebody who's much better than me. But I'm a clean enough channel and an open enough channel for them to be able to come through. So my frequency, my vibration is high enough for them to be able to move through me and start working, which is really interesting, especially when it's when the frequency is a divine frequency and not so much a healer or worker, but it's an actual divine frequency. It's like cotton candy. I swear to God, it smells like cotton candy comes through the room. And then I just watch ribbons of energy move through and take care of whatever needs to get taken care of. It's, you know, which always makes me think, oh, that's what people see when they're talking about dragons. It's that kind of movement.
Oh.
But anyway. Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, it was so interesting because while you were working on Michael, I mean, literally, you were texting me everything. And I guys, I felt like my phone was just like, she was like, I don't even know, were you voice texting? Because it was coming through so
probably
fast.
On fire.
Computer.
No, so what happens is I'll sit with my computer and I'll go into a channeled state and drop into, so like your friend Michael, so I dropped into his field, and he is a pleasure to work with, wide open. You're like, okay, come on in. So dropped into his field, felt what was happening in his field, and then he asked permission, and he allowed for me to drop into his body, into his physical body, to feel what was going on, to see it from his body's perspective, which is always neat. Not his conscious perspective, but from his physical body's perspective. What is his throat saying and experiencing, right? And then what's in there?
Yes.
Right. And that's where we went galactic. So
because you said this doesn't feel like regular cancer.
It did not feel, and I have felt cancer many, many times. I have felt the energy of cancer. I have felt the entity of cancer. I feel the emotion of cancer. This, I said, does not feel like normal cancer. There's nothing normal about this. So what I did was go into the cancer and say, what are you? Right? Because you don't feel normal. Like, you're nothing human that I've experienced right now. And I should let you also know that because I'm talking about this, Michael is already here. He's asked for me to come in and all right. He's offering the opportunity for a live healing to be experienced, not so much for him to receive it, but more as a learning experience for your audience. So if you're okay with it, I'm just going to drop into him, which is really interesting. There's a lot of sorrow today. You know, when I can't remember when I worked with you. It was just a couple days ago.
It was when you're in 2 days ago.
2 days ago. That was like a whole lot of panic and fear and confusion. Today is a lot of sadness. So what made this tissue in his neck susceptible? Sadness, great sorrow, great pain, all carried in the tissue of his throat. And that's what made the cells open, made it really like hollow, like the pox or deep cavern. So when we, thank you. He said, that's what I wanted you to explain to people. Okay, thank you. So then when I was in the cancer, I said, you don't really feel like cancer. What are you? And that's when I was shown the confusion of the being. And I was taken out into the universe, and I saw Michael gasp for air. And I watched, it's like this little teeny tiny nugget, it's just this tiny little crusty nugget got inhaled. It would be like at the beach, you inhale the grain of sand. That's the equivalent. Should not cause any kind of anything. But this got inhaled, and the being, it was a being, it's a galactic being, was very confused. Where am I? What is happening? Where did I just end up? A lot of confusion, a lot of fear, all its emotions that it shared with me. And to combat that, it grew and expanded and became this worm that then left little granulars all through his tissue, right? I should have read over my notes, right? I should have read what I texted you, but I recall, correct me if I'm wrong too, but I'm pretty sure it was throat,
You said
up
teeth.
in the teeth, the jaw, the soft palate, nose, sinuses.
Yeah, well, you were going in there to clear out all, like, basically almost like larvae or eggs.
Yeah, it was like
and you said
eggs.
extracting them like a dermatologist.
Yeah, it was like blackheads, like off your nose.
Yes. Which
so satisfying.
Which is important to note, because we're going to share what Michael shared with me after I told him all of this. But so it's interesting.
And that was a healer. That was an ancient healer who worked through me. And she said, this is my skill. Like, this is what I do. And, oftentimes if I go in and I experience cancer, my job is to shrink it, not always get rid of it. I'll ask permission, of course, but, and if I'm allowed to, I will assist to get rid of that. But in essence, it's really to shrink it, because the emotions of it still need to be processed.
Mm-hmm.
The energy of it needs to be expressed. That's why, cancer grows. You have to express it. But this was different. This was, you can't shrink it. You can't just obliterate it. It needed to get cut out. And that was her skill. So she showed up and she came through and was like, I got this, it's my jam. And she just started cutting away and then clearing, which I would never have picked up on that.
Yeah.
Like, these were little granulars, like who finds a white head,
I could actually see the being later when I was telling Michael about it all. I could actually see how long and skinny her fingers were.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, Ichabod Crane had nothing on this one,
that was her skill.
Yeah.
So she came through and she did her job.
Wow.
So, okay. So you saw this galactic worm. Now, this is important for everyone to hear, because this was the cause of cancer, which was not emotional. Now, he was susceptible to it because of emotional stuff that has to be cleared out and all that stuff, which he's going to have to do. But this was a completely different thing, where the doctors saw it as cancer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So share that with the audience, because this is important for people to understand, because this
it's
totally
really
blows
important.
open the door of everything that we understand.
Yeah.
It really does.
Too. Yeah.
And again, this is living in the 5D.
Yes.
Right? So maybe 6 months ago, I wouldn't have perceived it like this, but I've had an incredible amount of awakening and ascension and up-leveling of my skills. So now I come to an understanding of, oh, okay, this is disease in the 5D. This is healing in the 5D. What a doctor would perceive as cancer is not necessarily cancer by the medical definition of it. And it's curious to me that from the entity's perception, there was just massive confusion and fear.
Like, how did I get here? What am I
How
doing?
did I get here?
Mhm.
Not malice intent,
Mhm.
not I want to take over your body. I'm here to kill you and everyone on the planet. There was none of that. It was just literally like, I don't know where I am.
And
What is
let's
happening?
clarify how he got it, because I don't think a lot of people
Yeah.
understand, because I saw
Yeah.
some of the comments under the video, and then people are like, I don't understand, if he's a Reiki healer, how come he can't heal himself, or like, you know, all this stuff. And it's like, no, he's already doing so much energy work on top of the chemo and radiation. He's trying to do it all and cover all his bases, and that's his choice and his journey. He's totally like, that's his choice. He travels so much. Oh, we should tell like what you've discovered as a jumper, but you know, he meditates a lot. He's extremely intuitive. And so he travels. And when he was traveling, whether it was through meditation or the dream state, and he was out in the galactics, this is how he picked it up.
Yes.
Wow.
Literally by inhaling.
Mm-hmm.
Because his soul was somewhere else.
Because
He
he's a
gasped for
time
air.
jumper.
Because he's a time jumper.
He's a time jumper.
And it's a skill that he's learning, right? So he's practicing and he's doing all these things because it's really, really neat. And you know, I'm sure that there will be plenty of energy workers who are like, well, then you should be protected and you should put up your, you know, your guards and your cloaks and all of this. And they're all very good things, all really very good things, because there are, you know, just like there are bad humans, there are bad everything. So you do want to do all those things, but this is something, how are you going to protect from that? How? You have to know yourself so intimately that you recognize there's something foreign. That's the only way, which brings us back to self-care, self-care, self-care. Focus has to go inward. You have to be so intimately aware of what your healthy homeostasis is.
Yeah.
That you recognize a grain of sand that's been caught up in one area of your body.
Well, now let's just segue into me telling Michael all of this. And I was like, what do you think about all of it? He goes, well, the whole worm thing makes so much sense now. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, a few weeks ago, I was in meditation and I saw this worm entering into my neck, and I was trying to pull it out, and it felt like, he goes, it had this fibrous, like quality to it, like when you pop a pimple and the hard sebum comes out, you know?
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And that's what he's explained to me. And I'm like, oh my God, she said blackheads. And so he's like, I tried to pull it out. I tried to get this thing, but I couldn't do it on my own.
Wow.
And I think this is when he realized it was in there. It had clearly been in there much earlier than that.
Yeah, it had been in there for at least a couple of months. But that brings us also to like all of the questions, but he's a Reiki master and he's a healer and he does all the things. We're not meant to heal alone.
Mm-hmm.
We're not meant.
So important.
Right?
I mean,
We're not, I'm going to cry. It's such an important message. And I can tell you right now that it's coming through me. This is not me speaking. This is being channeled. We are not meant to heal alone. You're meant to process alone. You're meant to integrate alone, but you are not meant to heal alone. That's the important part, right? So as a healer, we fall into that ignoring of the self to be able to give to others. We fall into that lack of awareness, lack of attention, and that's habit. Right. And it's how, you know, we've been trained as humans. And it's a hard habit to break. But like I said, you need to have such intimate knowledge of who you are, what your body feels like, what your soul is asking you to do, that it's really super fucking clear.
Mm-hmm.
It is crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In order for me to get through this, I'm going to need somebody who's a little bit farther ahead of me. There's no shame in that. Go find these goddamn people. Get out there, right? Ask for help.
Yeah.
What's so interesting to me is, he's just like kind of standing here off to the side saying, I did that. He's well aware of it, right? And he did it. And he did it through you, right? So he Michael goes to Nicole, and Nicole happens to be talking with Pamela, and Pamela's like, I got your girl. This is how it works. This is how community is supposed to work.
I
This
know,
is
I
how
know.
the divine healing
seeing
is supposed to happen.
And
Yeah.
also, like, to that point of we're not supposed to heal alone, that breaks a huge human program of
Yes.
trying to do it alone and not
Yes.
reaching out and
Because
not
of shame.
yeah, the
Yeah.
shame.
Do you recognize that? Since when and why is healing shameful?
Mhm.
That is messed up.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
there's something wrong with you now, like,
Exactly.
which isn't, but I think it was an important experience. I'm so grateful that I found you, like, and that it all kind of, it all kind of came together so beautifully. And Michael's obviously so grateful, and he's going to be reaching out to you further. And I just think it was a learning experience for all of us, because even some of
All
that
of
was
us,
new for
yeah.
you.
Oh my God, so much of it was new.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
gotta be kidding me.
So
Galactic.
because we're kind of running low on time here, I want to get into the channeling, and Pamela, I'd love to give you the floor right now to go in. So I know that you tend to be best channeling when you're writing.
yes, but and the first time I ever channeled publicly was with you. The
Mhm.
second time I'm ever channeling publicly is with you, Nicole. So I've been connecting with them. I'm going to go without typing,
Okay.
and I'm just going to call on them how they've asked me to call on them, and we'll see what happens. And whatever comes out will come out, and when it's complete, it will be complete.
Okay. And we're doing the Great Council of Light, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just bear with me for a moment, please. Okay. And Lisa, would you please support me in this endeavor? Thank you.
I was just gonna ask you if you need help. Put your hand up or something. Yeah.
Okay. We call on the Great Council of Light to channel a message for humankind. Yes, we are here now with you. We are here with you to receive and transmit a message for humankind. It is a time now for all of you to prepare, as we have discussed today, for the evolution of the planet. There are many changes to come, dear ones, and it is time now for you to revel inside of you. Look at the knowings within yourself. Witness what it is you have been and will be doing in your life, and the choices that you're making, as Pamela has said before. It is time now to make everything be very meaningful in your life. Do not disregard. Do not take your time. You must move now, quickly, because things will change. That's it. Wow. I could go more, but I feel like it's going to get heavy, and I don't know. You tell me what to do.
I'm open for whatever, but if you're uncomfortable, then I don't want you to go further.
We would desire to continue the information at this point. There is much happening in several different places on your planet. Combined experience is inevitable. Nothing now will stop what is to come. We must all understand, looking beyond the here and now, that this is a moment in your history for the evolution of your planet. You will look upon this in your history and understand you have lived in ways that have not benefited you, humankind, or the planet as a whole. For now, the change will be upon you. Many will not stay, others will remain. It will be a glorious day for those that will. So hear our words. Continue to evolve as you have discussed today among yourselves. Place in your heart and in your actions, with the highest intention, every decision that you make from here on. And know that we are with you. The Great Council of Light are here with you. Every moment, every experience, every event. In love, we are complete.
Thank you. How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, I can tell it's intense. It's an important message. And I think the one thing that really stuck out to me in all that was how important it is to make everything meaningful in your life right now.
Yeah. And, they are so loving, they make these things happen. You saw the synchronicity with how our day got planned today. They have been pushing us to send these messages out frequently and furiously, but we have been taking our time and handling these with such care, that the expressiveness that wanted to come out was so strong. I don't know if you could feel it, Lisa.
Yeah, I
They were
asked
like,
it to calm down.
and then they calm down. I could feel that. So thank you. It's a
You're
lot of
welcome.
energy to harness. Yeah. And but they chose their words. I thought they chose their words really well. They don't want to scare you, but Amanda, I think that they were pretty deliberate with what they said.
I think, it's the way I see it is, obviously it's like big changes coming, and we kind of look at like Game of Thrones as like, the winter, winter is coming kind of thing. You have to be prepared, but it's more of like, this is the work to prepare is so internal.
Yes.
It's so internal. And if you're doing that, you have nothing to fear.
Exactly.
You really have nothing to fear. This is just part of evolution. This is how it works. And you're going to be part of it, and you signed up to be part of it. And so start acting like it.
Yeah. Well,
step into it for sure. Yes.
Step into it. And that's why it's like, there are big shifts coming. There are big changes. And I'm sure there are going to be several events that feel like one big event. And because this is the other thing that I got a message around yesterday, was that this event, it feels like it's just a one thing, but it's actually a multiple events that kind of funnel in. And then when you look back on it in time, it looks like one big event, but we won't experience it as one big event.
Right.
So, I think that's really important. I know the audience will benefit from hearing that. And Lisa, was there anything that you wanted to channel? I'm wondering if you wanted to channel anything around new dimensions, because that's what came up for me to ask you guys, was opening doorways to new dimensions.
Yeah. So the best way to do that, all of this information is just like sitting here on the tip of my tongue. What they show is very similar to like an accordion opening up, right? And once you find the first one, it's infinite that you can walk through the others. But the only way that you get to experience different dimensions of being, different levels of being, different evolutions of being, is to I'm going to ask for a different word, because that one is always so no, give me another one. Okay, the only way to do that is to up level yourself. So the words that I really don't like are the ones that are like abused by a lower vibrational human, which is purify, cleanse.
Yeah.
Absolutely abused and bastardized, right? These concepts. What they're saying, what all that they're meaning is, take a fire hose to your energy. That's it. You don't have it. Don't worry about anybody else. Really, nobody else matters. Nobody else matters. Go inward, do your work, be the best human you can be, because then it winds up going and turning around on itself and coming back out. If you go in deep enough, your being, your sense of being, your exploration of self winds up turning around and coming back out, so that you access your truest self, and then your truest self is what actually comes out into the world. You don't have to worry about showing up as a certain person, as a certain version of yourself. Just be true. And that means you don't try to convince anybody else of who they are and what they're doing, and you don't try to get anybody else to buy into who you are and how you're showing up. You just exist. And when that happens, you get to walk through all of these other dimensions, and you get to visit with beings that are at a much higher vibration than us. Believe it or not, the postulate turned worm turned cancer is of a higher vibration. simply because it does not live in a human existence.
Yeah.
Doesn't
and
make it better, doesn't make it worse.
Right. It's just what it
makes
is.
it different. It
yeah,
is what it is.
Mhm.
but
So if you want to, if you want to start exploring, take care of yourself first.
mhm. And I think, just 2 points there. One, when we talk about these higher vibrational beings, that's the whole reason why we're here, is because the
Exactly.
work has to be done here. It can't happen here from a higher state. Like, you've got to embody
Right.
the human body to do it, but you can reach those higher vibrations if you start doing this internal work, and you start clearing out whatever is just not meant to be held on in the human body anymore, like you said. Also, it's so important to understand not to worry about anyone else, because if we lived in a world where we're all worried about one another, we'd never be focused on ourselves. And do you know how much energy that is to like focus on so many other people when you could just be focused on yourself? And if everyone was just focused on themselves, I swear we would like shift things so much faster.
Yes.
So much faster. Look at the mess we're in.
And it's because everyone wants to worry about everyone else.
Yeah, because people are not considering themselves.
Right? It's ingrained
Yeah.
from a very young age. Give
Yeah.
up your toy, go share, go play nicely. Well, what about my needs? Right?
Yeah.
Like, take care of yourself. That doesn't mean you're like, I don't understand when and how selfish became a
Right.
dirty word.
Yeah, we talk
Like, that
about
doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
Selfish just means you're ish, right? You're on your way
of yourself. Yes, you're holding yourself in high regard.
Yeah.
And like they just said, you're making choices, you're thinking about everything, because you're honoring and not protecting, but like you're considering yourself. You're being selfish.
And that's different from protecting. Protecting comes from a place of fear. I fear that the repercussion for this is going to be hurtful.
This is why, like, I've moved. I used to do this. I used to believe that this was like in my earlier awakening days, but in the last, I want to say 3 years or so, I've moved completely away from it. And I try to help others when they're kind of talking in this way. It's not, you don't need a bubble of protection to go out, whatever. You just need to be as strong as you possibly can, and that's it. Just make yourself as strong as possible. And you don't have to worry about, then you're fine. Nothing's going to interfere with you. And if it does, well, you're so strong and aware, you're going to figure out what to do in that moment. So it's like the bubble of protection.
That's the same for dimensional travel.
Yeah.
Right. It's the exact same concept. You're just going farther. That's all. You're going to leave this, 3D, sometimes 2D, depending on where you're going. And, and start exploring into 4D, 5D, 6D, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? You can go on infinitely. You can then take your soul and go galactic travel, but make sure your home is in good condition.
Yes.
Know yourself, right? You're not going to go drive your car around if you don't think your car is going to get you to where you need to be. Take care of your car.
Very
Put
true.
some really good gas in it, right?
Exactly. Well, this has been so good. I'm so glad that we were able to have this chat. And to everyone who's listening, please follow Lisa and Pamela at Spirit Calling. And I'm going to leave all their links below, but let the audience know right now what you guys have got going on and how they can find you.
Yes, absolutely. You can find us at spirit-calling.com. Come and join the community. We're going to put a special free 14-day trial for all of the people that listen to your podcast, and they can sign up and get a taste for it, and hopefully they'll become members. You can find us on Facebook. It's at Spirit Calling Live the Call. And Instagram, it's Spirit_calling. If you go to YouTube, we don't have a custom URL yet. So look up channel Angelic Message, Human of Hope or something. Yeah, Spirit Calling, you can find us. And we'll also give you the link for those two, the healing and then the other messages, so that they can check that out. But we look forward to, having another conversation one day and hearing how
I'm going to have to bring you guys on before the end of the year.
Yeah. for sure.
Like I feel like right before the holidays, maybe like Christmas or maybe a New Year. Maybe we'll do a New Year one.
Ooh,
Oh
that'd be
yeah.
fun.
Okay.
I'll channel a typed message that we can read.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks so much, ladies, for being on the show. And
Thank
thank
you.
you to my audience. You guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much for your support. If you love this show, go and leave a comment on iTunes, Spotify, or at the bottom of this video if you're watching on YouTube. It really helps the show out. And please share this episode with anyone that you feel might benefit from it. And guys, I love you. I'll be back here with you next week. Stay well and be in your light. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.